My husband was playing for the Minnesota Twins when randomly and shockingly he got DFA'd. Now during a DFA, you pack up, you go home, and you wait for some news. So that's what we did. So here's everything we did since we've been home. He obviously got to play and love on all of our animals and our kids. I immediately put him to work. He helped me fix the fence where our dogs kept getting out. He helped me put my hair extensions back in. A man of many trades. He gave plenty of love to his goats that are obsessed with him, even if he didn't even want them. We had coffee breakfast dates. It was really nice. We played lots of cards, and he unfortunately beat me a lot. We went to a local vineyard and winery, and he couldn't even wait to bring the grapes home. Most important is he got to be at our kids' t-ball games, and that usually doesn't happen. This was special. We went to our favorite place, Knox Dough in Knoxville. We had more coffee and breakfast dates. Breakfast is my favorite. We picked up all the fan mail in our P.O. box. I had him help me get all the feed for the animals for this couple weeks. And then, unfortunately, just like that, he had to leave again. This goodbye was a hard one. These last few days were really stressful, not knowing what was going to happen. But if anything, it made me so excited for the off season. But for now, let's wish him luck, and hopefully you'll see him back up in the bigs very soon.
What's up, guys? This is Kash, Shaikh, Chairman, CEO, and co-founder of Baseball United, the first professional baseball league in the history of the Middle East and South Asia. And you're watching the Legends on Deck podcast with my boys, Brian Koss and David Conde.
Welcome to episode 97 of the Legends on Deck podcast. I'm Brian Koss, along with my co-host, David Conde. And we are inching our way towards 100 here at the podcast. We were just talking about that off the air. Very exciting news. But today we welcome RheaAnne Ramirez. She is the wife of Erasmo Ramirez, who's been pitching in Major League Baseball for the last, I believe, 14 seasons. And she has been a bit of an Instagram star. She's building a following and telling her story about what it's like to be married to a Major League Baseball player and live on the road and that raise children together. So, RheaAnne, welcome to the show. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Well, we're excited. And, we talked a little bit off the air about how this idea came to me years ago with trying to have the minor league, major league wives kind of share their view from home, what it's like to be home waiting while the players are on the road. And, so it's very interesting, I feel, and I felt like, it's a very interesting take that people don't normally get to see or get to hear about. They always want to see where the ball players at, but they don't know what it takes for them to do what they do. So that's one of the major reasons you're here. So we do appreciate you agreeing to come on here. So before we get started with that, we're excited to hear about your perspective of what it's like to be, from the family end of it. But let's go back to where you personally started in the game. We understand we heard something about you, MLB mascot or something like that. Can you kind of share a little bit about your experience?
Yeah, so in 2013, I was 17 years old and I applied for the Tampa Bay Rays. I originally applied for a cheerleading position, didn't get it, unfortunately, but I actually had the organizer of the mascots reach out and say, hey, I saw you didn't get this role, but I'd like to offer you this instead. It's not a cheerleading position, but you're going to have a lot more fun here. So I immediately said, yeah, let's do it. I didn't really know what I was doing. The original offer was for a Pepsi bottle race. And I went to Rays games, but I wasn't familiar enough to understand exactly what that was. So I said yes. I got hired after I turned 18 the following season. And the rest is history. I started as a mascot there as a Pepsi bottle race girl and raced in the mascot costumes. And then as I kept growing in the role, I quickly got put to mascot assistant or mascot coordinator. So I had to bring all the mascots to different areas of the park, do different promos, and no longer in the suit, but in charge of where they went. And it honestly was a great job. I'm really glad I got that one and not the cheerleader, to be completely honest.
So I have to say that the Rays have the indoor stadium, right?
Yes.
And if I'm a mascot, let's say in Philadelphia, New York, LA, I'm sweating. I'm assuming that
Yeah,
it's AC, you're good. It's not hot in there, like nothing's bothering you. I mean, is that the thinking?
It's a lot easier on indoor events because we still have to do like spring training events, which is outside and, you know, not Cape Coral, I'm blanking, Port
Fort
Charlotte.
Myers. Yeah.
There's it.
Yeah, that's right.
And then we also had to do outside events also. So heart walks, fairs, anything, different school events that are all outside. So it's definitely I couldn't do it if I was working for an outdoor stadium. And that was like this year, actually, the Rays stadium got destroyed. So they're in
Yeah.
Tampa
right.
now.
Yeah.
I do not know how they're doing that. All
Well,
props to them, though.
yeah, yeah. I went to two games at the George Steinbrenner Field this year, and there's no shade in that stadium really either. So yeah, we were sitting. It was Saturday and Sunday, both afternoon games, and we were baking in the sun.
It's
It was pretty
brutal.
rough.
It's
Yeah,
brutal for fans. I mean, I can only imagine the mascots now, how they're doing it. But they're doing it and
yeah.
they're doing great. They're, making lemonade out of lemons, what they've
They
got.
were there. Yeah.
Did you no fan in there? Didn't have a little fan to help you? Really?
No, but unfortunately not. A lot of mascots that do have the fans in them, I've learned that eventually it just starts sucking hot air, especially in Florida. It sucks hot air in and then just blows hot air. And it almost feels like suffocating when it's blowing even more hot air in there.
Yeah. It's probably a one piece. Or you
That,
could take the hat off.
yeah, that one was about three pieces altogether for
Mm.
the main guy.
So did you stay in the game from an employment as an employee, as someone that worked in the industry? Did you stay in the game for a long time after that, or where did your mascot path take you?
So I started in 2013. I
Okay.
met my husband in 2015, and
Okay.
we started dating, but we didn't make it public knowledge. We were trying the best we could without, the higher ups finding out. Eventually, in 2016, they did find out. I had an amazing boss who was not upset at me and said, "I understand." Um, his word was, he said, "I ended up marrying my last intern, so I can't judge.
Yeah, I
We're gonna
guess you
let
can't. Yeah.
we're gonna let love win on this one, as long as you guys aren't posting about it and letting everybody know." So HR knew, we had every precaution in line, and then eventually in 2017, it's what I said. I think it's time. Like, we're gonna hang up our mascot suits and be done with it.
Well, it does, and it's if anybody's seeing us, we don't have a camera guy there. It's just panning in and out. It's just a feature. It's fine.
I'm so sorry.
They do say I saw a report recently. They said that the work love, like people meet at the job, is one of the most growing things now because you spend all the time at the job. You see them all the time. So there's nothing shouldn't be anything wrong with that.
Yeah, it's true, and it was interesting. It was a lot of fun. It actually happened. I was so always on field with the mascots. And another player actually approached me when I was walking the main mascot around and came up to me and said, "Hey, we need to talk." And my immediate thought was, I'm going to get in trouble. Because that was the main thing with it, was we have to stay out of the player's way. If we get in the player's way, we can get in trouble. Some players are not the nicest when you get in their way during practice. They're very particular with their routine. So I immediately thought we were going to get in trouble, but he was really nice. He said, "Hey," it was actually Ernesto Frieri. He was a relief pitcher in 2015. Brought me over to Erasmo and said, "Hey, this is my friend Erasmo, and he really likes you."
So I'm assuming at that point you were out of the mascot suit.
Yes, yeah, I was just
Yeah,
coordinator. Yep. But he did see me every once in a while. We'd have to take breaks. Not much in 2015. I was in the suit. I was mostly handling everybody by that time. But every once in a while he'd catch me. He's like, what are you doing in there? Like, what? Like, it's my job today.
So he's already in. He comes up earlier than that, so he's already in the majors at this point. When you guys are start dating and then eventually get married. Um, so how does that transition happen for you? So you go from being a girl that works for the team, and then you meet this guy who happens to play on the team. You get married, and then what is your life turn? How does your life change in that way?
It was a big change starting in 2017. So after I quit my job, started announcing it, making it well known.
Yeah.
It was a big switch from working there to now going to that same stadium instead of as a worker, as a girlfriend, a wife, a fiance. It was really awkward at first because people knew me as the mascot girl. It
Yeah, they're like, hey, wait, mascot girl, you're
it
hanging out
was
in the stands now.
it was weird. It was a weird transition. Not everyone was the kindest about it, but majority of everyone was really kind and supportive. But we did have some people that weren't too happy about it.
You can always have
Um,
some haters. That's fine. It's part of life.
yeah, and it was, it makes you stronger at the end of the day. But it was a big switch. Again, a switch that I more than happy to. I loved my job. It was very hard for me to leave that job because I loved it so much and I really wanted to grow in the industry and in MLB. But I also knew that me and my boyfriend at the time, what it was more than just, we knew we were going to be here 10 years later.
Yeah. Well, you really kind of got a whole new perspective on it, right? So you've actually
Yeah.
never really left the industry.
No,
Um, you've just seen it. You're just now have seen it from a different side.
I think I can appreciate it more because I worked there in MLB and then now I'm seeing it from like a wife perspective. So like when I'm at the games as a wife, I appreciate the ushers a little more, appreciate the mascots, appreciate the people that are working there because I know how hard it is and how, it's a struggle being at 162 games. Well, I guess for home games,
Yeah,
81 games,
81
but
games. Yeah.
it
Yeah.
takes over your life. It really does.
Well, for the people who hated on you, they should have loved on you because you were already in that family, the circle, right? Normally, when you're on the outside coming in, and then you have to adapt, and most people don't know how to adapt, right? Sometimes people are just kind of like do their own thing or want to be their own way. I mean, you were already in there, so for the haters, they were just hating on you. They were just jealous. It's all good.
It's just a stigma that like, obviously everybody knows like workers shouldn't date the players. It was a big stigma that way. And I think we did it in a good way and we were respectful of the rules. We were respectful of the terms we were given. So, it's just a stigma.
And then then if you moved on to other teams, was it the same? I would guess it didn't matter at that point because it didn't start with that team. It started with the Rays. So any other team, it didn't matter.
It didn't matter. Actually 3 months. No, no, no. So we I quit my job early 2017, and then that's the first season that I came as a wife to the stands. In July of 2017, he actually got traded back. There we go again.
It's okay.
We actually got. I think my hand. I put my hand here. It's like I think I want to see your hand. So 2017, we let everybody know I quit my job and we were still with the Rays. But in July of 2017, he actually got traded back to his team that he debuted with, which was the Seattle Mariners, which was completely across the country. We heard trade rumors that he was going to get traded, but you never know what's true. And we heard that it was going to be a West Coast team. And I just kept saying, I remember that week vividly. We had a 2-month-old daughter. We're all like, as long as it's not Seattle, let's just not go to the completely farthest team away from us. We couldn't choose a farther team away. And sure enough, it ended up being Seattle. And it was an amazing experience. Seattle was an amazing time for us to go back to. But it's just now I've learned my lesson, and we don't say I don't want to go to a team.
It's a
Yeah, I
good.
think that's kind of the challenge, right? Especially since, I mean, him being a pitcher,
Yeah,
um, is makes him probably much more vulnerable to the trades, to team switching, right? So, I mean, watch a lot of these guys, they've been traded and moved to, I mean, I know he's played for multiple teams. And that's just kind of par for the course with most guys in that, they're that are in are pitchers. I mean, that's just the way
yeah.
it is. Um, but you never really think of it. You always think like if when you're a fan and you're looking at the and you hear all the chatter online, David and I will talk about this. You can get wrapped up in the fan side, and it's like, hey, we got to move. Let's look at the trade deadline and who's going to go here and who's going to go there, and if we just had these pieces on this team, we can make a run. But there's the whole human element of it too,
Yeah.
And yeah, those are players with the real people with that's their job, and they might have families. So it's part of the game, right? It's part of the industry. That's what you sign up for. But I imagine from a perspective of a family, doing that is particularly challenging.
It's hard, but it is like it's part of their job. And I think as you sign on to marry a player, things are gonna sometimes not go your way, and it's gonna be last minute moves. I mean, every year with spring training, normal season, back home, it's 3 moves a year if we go with them the full season. And that's not including a trade or a DFA. So like Seattle, when he got traded from Tampa to Seattle, we had 24 hours to pack the house up and go. So he helped as much as he could, and then he left, and then it was up to me to pack the rest of the house and put it in storage in Florida because we knew we were going to stay there for our off-season home, and then move the rest of the way to Seattle.
Do you guys stay like permanent residency in one location?
Yeah, so every year we have a permanent residence, and typically it was always in Florida because it was 50-50 chance of spring training there.
You always, yeah.
But recently, just this year, we actually moved to Tennessee. We wanted a little bit more of a slow living.
Okay.
Florida can get very overwhelming sometimes. So, and towards the end of his career, we were ready to, I don't want to say end of career, because if you ask him, he'll say he has 5 or 10 more years left. Realistically, he's probably getting in there in the last couple of years of his career. But we wanted a little bit more slower of a life, start a farm, start somewhere we could have our family, be around other family members. So we always keep one residence, and then for spring training, we typically either Airbnb or do a hotel. And then during season, again, we typically Airbnb or hotel because, how you said, with pitchers, it's a lot easier to get traded, to get DFA'd. We call him a journeyman because he's been on so many teams,
journeyman,
around a lot, and it's just not worth it to put all that money into leases because first, it's hard to find a short-term lease for 6 months. Second, if you have to break it because you're traded, it's an issue. And then finding furniture for 6-month leases aren't the easiest. So we found hotels and Airbnbs are just our best friends.
That would make sense. Yeah, because you just don't know where you're going.
Yeah.
You got to live and so that means that you got to keep your stuff basically ready to pack up at any time.
Living out of suitcases is what we say. Because he has 2 suitcases with him everywhere he goes, and he keeps those. And then I have 2 suitcases with the kids and myself. And what we'll do, so if he's in town for a good homestand, 2 weeks, we go and stay with him those 2 weeks. And then when he goes on the road trip, we usually do one of those road trips. We're trying to, mark off every stadium to say we've seen everyone. So we'll mark off whatever stadium we haven't done yet, and then we'll head back home to Tennessee for the other week and a half.
That was my next question. I guess I was asking, do you guys go everywhere? I mean, I'm assuming that the kids have school.
Yep.
But for the summertime is when you get your summer trips and you get to enjoy the summer.
Yeah, I think last month we were only back in Tennessee for maybe not even a week for all the stuff, all the places we were traveling and stuff. And I'm super grateful for it. And the kids love it. Luckily, our kids are the best travelers because they've quite literally grown up on baseball fields and hotels and airplanes. But it gets difficult living, out of hotels with kids, especially you guys have kids, exactly how much stuff kids need and acquire, or it's the end of the world.
Mm-hmm.
So, but again, our kids are so used to it now. They're troopers. And our daughter and we have 3 kids. We have a 3-year-old, a 5-year-old, and an 8-year-old. And
we're just gonna ask that 3,
Yep.
5, and 8. So
5 and 8.
I have kids in the same age range. I have 4, 6, and 9. And then I have a 14-year-old. But that's crazy because I know exactly what that's like being. It would be very difficult for me to imagine. I always just day-to-day life, and I don't leave like the 7 square miles of my area very often.
Yeah.
And I live in West Orange County, Florida, and we don't really go anywhere other than my route. Um, but it's hard to imagine like just doing that with that age group of kids. That's a lot.
Luckily, they're very, like how I said, they're just great. They're good kids. They know what's expected on travel. We just did a big trip with the New York Twins. With the Minnesota Twins, we just did a big
Yeah.
trip. We went to New York. We did the Yankees
Yeah.
family trip, and all the kids got to fly on the team plane. And you would be shocked at how many kids were on that plane. And it was the best, easiest flight I've ever been on, where there was no crying kids, there was no screaming. It's just I feel like baseball kids are just a little different. They just are so go with the flow. Like we don't have a schedule. We don't have nap times or normal times of anything. I mean, one day they're on West Coast time for 3 days, and then we come back to East Coast time, and they kind of just pick it up, and they're troopers. They really are for their age. They get it. With school, luckily we have them in a private school that works with us. So if things like the family trip, it was their first week of school. So I let their school know, hey, this opportunity came up, and we can't miss it. And they're okay, you're fine. We'll send their work with them. And as long as they get their work done and they come back to school ready and they learn what they're supposed to, then they're perfectly fine with us traveling with them.
That's awesome. I want to touch on. No, I'm sorry,
Go
Brian.
ahead,
Go ahead.
dude.
No, because
No. She got me thinking as we're talking about it. So you said, the other kids are obviously traveling. Other players are bringing and wives are bringing their kids with them as well. And you kind of see a glimpse of this, like especially like during you watch the All-Star game and you see, certain players bringing their kids out on the field, and it's become more common. Um, I'm actually surprised, because most players are probably in the age range of 24 to 34, right? So that's probably the bulk. I don't know what the average age of a Major League Baseball player is, but it does seem like there's an uptick in the amount of players that have kids, that are married with kids, and that bring their families around. I don't know if I'm imagining it or if it's just my perception of it, but it does seem to be. And I don't feel like I saw that when I was younger. I grew up in the 90s, and I would never see, I didn't know some. I mean, I remember Mark McGwire bringing his kid out there to slap five when he hit his the 1998 home run record, but I don't remember anything else other like that like I'm seeing now.
I think it's more of a recent thing within the last 10 or 15 years that teams are being more family oriented. So, for example, Minnesota Twins. So, most baseball stadiums, I say most because I'm not 100% sure. We haven't been with every team, but every team we've been on and ones we've talked about have a family room. So the wives get to go to the games, and we get to drop our kids off at pretty much like a little rec center that's hidden in the stadium that fans don't know about.
Oh, wow.
Well, they know about it, but they don't know the location of it. They keep it secret in every stadium
That
to
makes
keep
sense.
the players' kids safe and to keep us safe. Majority of stadiums have it, but for example, we were just told the Twins didn't have one until maybe 4 or 5 years ago, actually when Carrera came on the team. Because he's a big name player with kids, and big name players can come in and request things like that. And from what I've heard from leadership in the Twins was that they didn't have any of that. There was no family trips, there was no family room, there was no wife's lounge or anything like that until Carrera came in and started requesting those things for his family. And I think that's more of a thing now, that it's just expected for teams to have this easy necessity for the players and the wives, just to make it that much easier for us. Because even you'd be surprised at how many wives do go to every single game. It's not just, my husband's playing today, so I'm going to go. It's like my husband doesn't play every single day, but I go. Even when my husband was injured, I went because half the time we're in a city where we don't know anybody, don't have anything else to do, and going to the baseball game and talking to these girls that we barely know is kind of our way to socialize without the kids, talking to your kids 24/7 all day. It's our way to kind of like get a little bit of socialization in.
Yep. Um, that whole dynamic, I mean, that's a world that I think anybody would love to be in because, it's one thing to be around baseball minded people, right? You always like me and Brian talk about all the time, just like we surrounded our community around baseball minded people that we can always talk about the game and just we're on the outside looking in, but I love that atmosphere. Does it get old at times to just talk about baseball all the time, or be around the baseball all the time? Do you feel like, oh my God, I want to do something else?
At the end of every season, I'm kind of like, okay, I'm ready to get out of this. Like, I'm ready to get a little bit of normal, talk to normal people that, not normal people, but people that don't
Right,
circulate
people
around
outside of
baseball,
your yeah.
something that's outside of baseball, or not eating hot dogs or chicken tenders 24/7. But then by the time like spring training, like the last couple weeks in January, you get the itch like, okay, I'm ready. Like, I'm getting bored sitting here every day, not traveling because we're so used to traveling, going, on the move. So like the slow life does eventually get a little tedious. I don't know how my husband's going to do it when he does retire. He's going to be like itching like to go do something.
You guys are
Right.
gonna have to get an RV and travel the country.
I know. I would not be surprised if that's right up his alley of what he's going to ask for.
Are the ballparks
Yeah.
with better food than others?
Yes. Not all ballparks are the same, but I do have to say in the last 5 or 6 years, they've been getting better because they've been doing those weird food combos. You know how every year they release like the fun new things at each stadium, and it's
Yeah.
like 2 or 3 new items. That's new within the last like 5 or 6 years because 10 years ago it wasn't like that. It was mostly nachos and like a baseball helmet nachos and ice cream
Right,
and
right. The standard ballpark fare.
but now it's fun. I'm having a lot of fun going on TikTok and Instagram, and I'm like trying all these new weird things people are telling me at these new stadiums, and it makes it a little less, intolerable to eat baseball food.
I wanted to ask you a question. Just go back to 2018 in Seattle. Did you I see he didn't pitch that many games, but do you recall chasing Bradford?
Yes, I
So
recognize that.
he was a
Bradford.
reliever. He's my buddy. He's a good friend of mine. He started with the
Oh,
Mets, and then he actually came up with the Mets, and he had one good season with Seattle. He got to actually play a full season. But yeah, he's a good buddy of mine. I was looking at the time, and I'm like, oh my God, they were on the same small world on the team together at the same time.
how cool! Yeah, that was the year Erasmo got hurt. First day of spring training.
Hmm.
So most of the time he didn't pitch. We were on a huge um rehab road trip. They like rented us a car and we literally had to drive the whole state of California, like Fresno and all Modesto, and do all these little rehab games because they didn't want them to stay in Tacoma or Seattle because it was too cold. So they had us doing all these weird road trips all the way down to Vegas. We had a Vegas time too. But I recognize that name. It was a fun year.
So when you say like you mentioned he's injured and you guys are traveling with him, did I mean obviously he's not here to speak for it. Like but what I can only assume that a player that has that support is probably gonna the hard times are gonna be a little easier because he has the family there. You guys are with him. He's not just by himself. Do you feel that that has really helped him with this journey that he's been on?
I want to think yes, because I want to think I'm helping him as much as I can. I try to, decrease his stress as much as possible. And if you know Erasmo, he is so hard on himself. We actually had to create a rule very early on that okay, like you have a bad game, you have 24 hours to mope about it. Like that's our rule. Like as soon as he comes out of the locker room, I said 24 hours. That's it. I'm gonna give you 24 hours. And the next day, if he brings it up, I'm like, oh, you're out of the time period. Like you can't think about it anymore because he will sit and he will, even if it's something like not his fault, he just sits on it. Well, I should have done this and I should have done this. And he just gets so upset at himself about it. I should have thrown this pitch instead, or my cutter didn't cut. I'm like, well, there's nothing you can do about it now. You can learn from it and keep going on. And I think just having kids along the ride too kind of helps because he can't sit and mope the whole time. He has to like also have a happy face for his kids and move on quickly. And I think that kind of gets him out of his head.
I think it's a good thing to have the family around.
Yeah,
Daddy, I need
no.
you. And then you just totally forget about, what's going on. So I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, it does. And then it definitely does for bad games, but things like DFAs, our kids are now getting to the age where they understand what's happening. So they, like this last DFA, it was, for us, it was shocking because he was doing so good. I mean, this was one of his best years. I said it was his best year since 2022 when he was with the Nationals. And I mean, he came in, he did what he was supposed to do, and he ended this with 2.45 ERA, which is incredible nowadays for ERAs.
Mm-hmm.
But they needed a starting pitcher. So it's just something you have to, you have to understand that that happens. But our daughter and our son now gets connected to these other kids in baseball. And then when they hear they're getting DFA'd, they're like, I'm not going to see my friends anymore. And they get upset because they know what's happening. And then that kind of hurts him some more because they see like how his kids are upset about it. So we're also trying to teach the kids, like, it's okay. It's just part of the game. It happens. It's hard. So it's great to have kids in it because they can cheer you up. But also now sometimes you see the way it affects them and it kind of like sours the mood sometimes.
Well, I was about to put an article out about the Mets need arms, and I was going to ask you when I saw your video, I was going to put, "Hey Mets, let's go. Here's a picture." But then it happens so fast in baseball, you can't
Yeah.
keep up. So
Yeah, I know it really does happen like that. We knew something was going to happen because we knew that starting pitcher was coming up. It's funny because the guy that I don't want to say took Erasmo's spot because he was a starter is Taj Bradley, and we played with him at the Rays.
Yeah.
Great kid, incredible guy. Him and his family is just the sweetest people ever. So like we can't be mad at it. And I know he was struggling with the Rays a little bit. So the second we heard he was coming to the Twins, like good for him. Like I hope he finds everything he's looking for. I hope he does amazing. And it's just some of those things. It's hard because you create relationships in baseball, and sometimes those relationships is the reason that you're kind of getting pushed out. But at the end of the day, like me and Arasso, we want what's best for them too. Their time's coming also.
yeah.
You mentioned I thought it was interesting when you were talking about how he recovers mentally from a game, right? Well, you're talking about, he's going to be hard on himself, but we talk about this on the show all the time. Baseball doesn't really lend you a lot of time to mope in general, right? Because you're going to be out there the next day, 6 days a week, and you might get coming out of the bullpen, right? He would be potentially on the call any night of the week. You don't know, right? So, it's one of those things you think about with baseball. It's like that, what could you got to almost get back in the 24-hour window makes sense because you really don't have more than 24 hours.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're gonna perform uh, much lower the next time if it's in your head that you had a bad outing, right? You're kind of defeating yourself going into the next one.
Yeah, and I think it's a mentality that a lot of players do have, but unfortunately, there are still some young players coming into this that don't think the exact same. So
Yeah.
they sometimes do let those bad games pull over to the next day. It's more likely now, not that they let it come into and ruin their next game, but Erasmo's seen more with the younger players coming in now, and they'll have a bad game the next day. Like, I don't want to pitch today. I don't feel good. I'm not feeling it because they're
Right.
still kind of letting it mess with them mentally, and they don't want it to mess with their game. So they'd rather just take the day off. And that's where it kind of messes with the bullpen because when you're only running on a 7-man bullpen, and sometimes nowadays starting pitchers don't go the full 6, 7 innings. Like your bullpen needs you there every single day and ready.
Well,
Yeah,
it
it's
is
really
it is a
interesting.
job though, so they gotta get the butts back out there. It is a job.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
exactly. We don't all get to sit it out when we want, right?
yeah.
But wanted to talk about your Instagram account, what you've decided to do from, taking this whole experience that you've gone through with, coming into the game and as an employee and marrying into the game and taking your family on the road. And you've really kind of taken that your journey to life on social media. Not everybody probably wants to do that. Some people are much, but what compelled you to kind of put yourself out there as someone that wants to tell their story? And I think it's really cool to see because I think it gives people some insight into, what life is like on your side of the fence.
I think we were just hiding it for so long. I think because our relationship did start as like a secret because I didn't want to lose my job. And then I don't want to say I was embarrassed about it, but it was just, I
Mhm.
was so used to not making it the main point of view of our relationship because I didn't want,
Sure.
It's okay.
there we
You're
go
good.
again. Um, I didn't want it to be what everybody knew about me because in the beginning, so Erasmo was I don't want to say drafted. His first MLB year was 2012. So he was 12, 13, 14 with the Mariners. And then he was still prospectively new when he was on the Rays. So 15, 16, 17 with the Rays. And when we first started coming out, he was still like, he wasn't in arbitration yet. And then his first free agent year was 2019. And I just didn't want to cause the attention. I didn't want, I don't know, I just didn't want everyone to know that for us. So we kind of put it on the back burner, didn't think of it. Social media wasn't also a huge thing then. So when TikTok started coming around, we started seeing other people post about baseball. And I think we just eventually got tired of hiding it and like not making it not a big deal, but a story. So our main thing was, you know what, baseball life is so much fun, but let's show them the real parts that they don't know about. So originally we didn't even post about the mascot worker, like the worker player journey. We just posted behind the scenes. Like, hey, did you actually know? Like, I think our first video that went huge was I talked about a paycheck, a big league paycheck. And like, hey, these guys do get paid really good, but do you actually know how much gets taken out every single paycheck? And that one blew up. And of course, it was 50-50. Half the people hating, well, he's still making this much money. And the other people, like, how can they take that much out? Like, and then it just kind of, after that, blew up because we started posting, like, did you know that this is what they use to get the mud out of the pants? Did you know this is what they make in sponsors and stuff like that. And it just slowly kept growing. And then we eventually made a TikTok talking about when a mascot meets a player. And that's the one that kind of took off. And that's what got us on Good Morning America and Today's Show. And I didn't
Yeah.
expect it to. It was a silly, funny video we made. And it kind of got us to where we are now on TikTok and Instagram.
But you know what got me, how I found you?
Hmm.
So you get all these baseball videos that come through is when you get on and say, guys, he's coming on now and he's going to show you, just be good to him. And he gets on and he starts talking about, like, I don't know, I was looking for the previous ones and I guess I didn't have the time of that day, but he's showing you how to throw. And he was so serious about it. Like he just
Mm-hmm.
sits there and I'm like, who's this guy? Like, who are these people? And I looked at him, I'm like, oh my God, I know who this guy is. And he starts talking about how to throw the pitch and he's really into it. I'm like, wow, this is good. Like, I like this.
It
So
was just
it's good perspective.
it was just a trend that people were doing. I think someone posted like, "Hey, my husband's going to show you his strawberries he just grew. Like, you better be nice to him." I said, "Oh my gosh, we should do that but with pitches." And we did it and it just popped off. So then we started posting every pitch he threw, which luckily he has like 4 or 5 pitches. And I have people messaging me from like college teams and high school teams. I'm showing my kids these pitches today. Like, this is awesome. And it's just that alone is showing how much like it's not just helping like people that just want to follow and watch, but it's helping
Yeah.
other athletes learn things that, he might not learn any other place. And the thing that I love about my husband is he's not like a typical, I know everybody probably says this, but he's not a typical pitcher. He's not 6'5". He's not like, super built. He doesn't throw 100 miles an hour. He's the little guy who his country said that he's never going to make it. He's not big enough. He'll never throw hard enough. And here he is. He's throwing low 90s and he's striking Judge out. And it's actually the Yankees just worded it really, really perfectly. When he was pitching, he got put in a game, I think like 2 men on, and they were losing. I think they had like 4 home runs hit against them that night. And the Yankees broadcaster said it in such a nice way. Like, it just shows you like the harder you throw doesn't mean like you're pitching. Like, it's not, the guy before him went in and threw 98 and he got a home run hit off of him. Yet here comes little Erasmo, and he's
Yeah,
throwing 89, 90 miles an hour. It's all about location, and he's getting them out easily.
Yeah.
no doubt.
But
Yeah, they're missing with pitching. There's definitely a missed opportunity there because yes, we are pushing the limits on how fast somebody could throw, which puts them like, you know, seconds away from ending their career on throwing the ball 100, 102 miles an hour. I think I saw somebody get up close to 101 recently.
Yeah.
Maybe it was ridiculous. It's getting ridiculous, right? But and you get it. It's flashy, right? And yes, like nobody wants a ball flying at them that fast. But yeah, just the ability to locate and to have a 4 or 5 pitches in your arsenal. I mean, it's a big deal. It's a different style of pitching, but it's
Yeah.
kept him in the game a long time.
Yeah. I mean, he's 14 seasons isn't for nothing, you know? And that's what he was just telling me a story. When they were playing the A's. I can't remember what player he was talking to. He was talking to a handful of players out in the bullpen, the opposing team. He's not a huge name, so not a lot of people know him, especially other pitchers don't really know him from other teams. They might know the other hitters, but they don't have to face pitcher on pitcher. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So he was talking to a bunch of pitchers out in the outfield, and the next day he comes out there, and one of the new guys is all like, "You weren't going to tell us you have 14 seasons in the big leagues." He's like, "Well, I don't lead with that." He's like, how are you doing this? How are you coming out throwing 89 miles an hour, striking people out, and I'm throwing 98? I'm getting home runs hit off of me." And he's like, it's just it's fun seeing these young pitchers kind of like also learning, like, hey, it's not all about speed. And he's like, and that's what I want to do. I want to help people. I want to try to teach. And, one day I do honestly believe he'll probably switch over to the coaching side, but he's not ready for that yet. If you ask him, he'll be like, no, not yet.
Well,
Couple
he,
years.
he
Yeah.
he's
Yeah, but
he's
he's
still
got
he's
that
still in the game. He's still in the game.
Yeah.
That's why, you know.
he's
Yep.
got that component to him. Yeah, that is funny. And you mentioned like I was thinking about this as you were talking because my son and I were talking about this the other day. But it's kind of nice, I'm sure, in some ways, that you said he's not the name of, where you walk into a store or you walk into a hotel or whatever, and then everyone's like, oh my gosh, it's Aaron Judge, it's Shohei Ohtani, so there's got to be a nice component of the fact that you've played 14 years of Major League Baseball, so you've been successful in your field, but you don't have to, and you get, the pay out of that too, but you also don't have to deal with, the lights and the cameras and the scrutiny quite as much as maybe somebody in that elite fame category would.
It's funny that you mentioned that because when we go back to Tampa, when we're in the Rays, it does happen because he was there for so long.
Oh yeah,
He was there for 15, 16, 17, 23,
sure.
and 24. So it happened there a few times. And I think a really big reason of why we left was we had some issues the last year. Like we would get Uber deliveries and people would be like, oh, Erasmo Ramirez, RheaAnne Ramirez, we know who this is. Like you pitched for the Rays. And then we had one scary event happen. He actually gave up Grand Slam to Ohtani in 2023, and people were not happy. And we actually got death threats against our daughter, who went to school in the St. Pete area. And because we lived there for so long, people knew. And I was in like all the Rays group trying to watch, keep my eye out on things and what people were saying. And someone made it public. Oh, my daughter goes to school with Erasmo's daughter at so and so school, and we were at the daddy daughter dance together. So without a harmless comment, what he thought was dangerous to us with our kids' school now being public online, which I'm really good with. I don't mind posting my kids online, but I don't post like what t-ball team they're on, what school
Yeah,
they're going
Yeah, you
to.
keep it personal. Yeah.
And that kind of like that year that we realized like people, started messaging us like, don't send her to school tomorrow, or like, hey, we know where you live, like stuff like that. It kind of started scaring us. And that was the only year we actually had any issues like that. Going back to
Yeah,
what you said, oh,
I could see that. I mean, especially, well, actually being a relief pitcher probably plays into that too, right? Somebody has a like you got crazy fans out there that, they're the first to go blame, bad outing or a home run given up or this or that. And they're taking it out on that guy,
yeah,
right? So
they were not happy. I mean, at least it was Otani. At least it wasn't like brand new batter that's never batted before.
yeah, I mean, if you could always say you got a home run hit off, by Shohei Ohtani. That's not a
Exactly.
bad
Not
feather in your cap, even
yeah.
getting beat by him.
But it's funny
Yeah,
going back to what you said, he's not like a Judge or like an Otani. It's funny because like in the States, he's
yeah.
not. You go over to his hometown in
Oh,
Nicaragua, it's insane. It is that because there's not a lot of Nicaraguan baseball players. I think there's one right now in the big leagues. I think it's Loizaga in the Yankees.
Yeah.
okay.
And before that, I mean, Dennis Martinez was huge. He was
Mm,
Nicaraguan, but Erasmo for the last several years won the number one athlete in the whole country of Nicaragua.
Mm.
wow.
So he, like, when we first started dating, I would go meet his family in Nicaragua, and like how you'd see like sports newspapers over here with Judge and Otani. That's how it was there, like walking into the store. But he was on the cut. It was weird.
Oh,
Everywhere
wow.
we went, he has to have security, and people want to come up and shake his hand because that's just like baseball is a big thing in Nicaragua, and he's the only, as of right now, the longest veteran pitcher or baseball player in general, besides Dennis Martinez, who has I think like 25 years in the big leagues, but the
Yeah.
current baseball player. So like over there, it
I
is like that, and it gets a little scary.
I take it back. So as long as you're stay out of Nicaragua,
It's
um,
it's a little crazy over there. It's nice here though. It's nice like flying under the radar. Like we can go places.
you can live your life pretty much normally.
Yeah, and it's nice. It's so nice. It's not I love Florida. Florida is my hometown. We go back all the time. And as the years start passing that he's not on the Rays, it's getting easier and easier. But there's
Yeah.
still the occasional. Like we were at our daughter's T-ball game the other day up here in Tennessee, and a Rays fan came up, and it's just little things like that, and it's nice in small doses.
So we talked a little bit about the family life with the kids, but can you just give us a quick little perspective of what do they say to you? How do they react to things? I mean, they're growing up in the social media age where we didn't. We had baseball, like we had to catch it on the TV or radio, and we were lucky if we got to go to the base. I mean, going to a Mets game. I'm from New York, so going to a Mets game when I was younger was like Disney World for me. And as you got older, you got to go to more. But I didn't get to see the Mets all the time, all this interaction with the fans and the players. So, what do your kids tell you? What do they share with you? I mean, is it like something that's just like whatever, or are they like really into this?
It's like a 50-50. So right now my daughter's in the embarrassed phase. So every time her dad gets asked for an autograph, she goes, so embarrassing, Dad. Why do you have to sign autographs? Why do you have fans? And she just doesn't get it. She thinks it's the most embarrassing thing in the world. And if you ask her who her favorite player is, it's not Dad. Like it's just not every single time. He's just Dad. You know what I mean? It's just Dad.
Yeah.
He's not a baseball player. My youngest, he's my 3-year-old's just now like realizing the fact of who he is. So like when we're not in town, we'll watch the game on TV. And I put it on the other day and he was pitching. He goes, Dad's on TV. Dad is on TV. And he's finally getting it. And then my 5-year-old is in the it's fun stage. So we were at a T-ball game the other day, and the coach, it was when after Erasmo was DFA'd, he got to come to the kids' T-ball games. And the coach was like, oh, your dad's here. That's so cool. And EJ, my 5-year-old, goes, yeah, my dad's pretty famous.
It's cool.
And it's just like, it's just a normal thing for them, though. It's just Dad. And, every day we go to baseball games, they get to go. If I have to bring them to the actual game, they get bored. Like, I don't want to watch this. Or like, hey, buy me, I have to like bribe them with ice cream. Like, hey, can we get ice cream if we're sitting and watching the games? But when we're at our home team, it's just the playroom. They want to go to the playroom. They want to play with their friends. And then if there's fun things like running the bases afterward, it's still a huge thing for them. They love that. And it's really cool because every team lets the players' kids go as many times as they want. So I'll let my kids take an hour running around the bases with all the other kids, gets their energy out. But like little things like that still are important and matter, but they honestly could care less about watching baseball games, which is sad because I remember going to the stadiums and loving watching baseball games because the Rays, that's where I grew up. I grew up taking pictures with Raymond when I was a kid. We used to do like sleepovers on the field for Girl Scouts and stuff like that. So like I loved baseball, and my kids are just very much like it's everyday
Maybe
life.
it's just because of the
The age.
environment, right? So
Yeah.
it's like it's just the comfort zone. It's like an everyday occurrence.
Yeah.
So they're not enamored with the fact that they're in the stadium and they're around all the players. I mean, they probably, if any of them end up playing at a competitive level, they'll probably come to appreciate that later on. They'll be like, "Oh, I can't believe we grew up in a stadium." Like we grew up in a major league stadium, or even if they don't, they're still going to probably look back at when they're teenagers or early adults and realize, like, hey,
Yeah.
like I grew up on a baseball field with major league players. That was kind of a big deal. Most people don't do that.
Every once in a while I think about that, like how they're gonna perceive it when they're older. Like, are they gonna appreciate it and they think it's so cool, or are they gonna remember like, oh, we missed so much because we were at the baseball game? And I got to have a really cool conversation actually with Roger Clemens' son plays on the
Yeah,
Twins, Cody Clemens, and
yeah.
I talked to his wife about it, and I said, did Cody love it? Like, was it? She's like, yeah, it was. His life is him growing up, and that's the reason why he's playing now, and he appreciates it and loves it. That's how he grew up. So it's nice to hear another baseball kid, growing up and truly appreciating it and are happy with where they come from.
Yeah, I wish my kid would sit down with me and watch games with me. That's the only thing. I coached him since they were younger, and that's the one thing Erasmo will have. He'll at least get to coach hopefully his kids
Yeah.
and at the age, and they'll sit down with him. Hopefully, I was telling my kid yesterday, "You want to watch the Mets with me?" Nah, I'm gonna go fish. Okay, I'm gonna go adopt some kids to watch baseball with me.
As a first question, do you like baseball? I'm like, come on, come on.
Um, this has been a great, getting to know you and understanding your side of it. I mean, you're real in tune in the game. I mean, you understand a lot of it, which is great. I'm not saying other wives don't, but your view from home is more than just your view from home. It's your view from the road and your view from the stadium and your view from the intricacies of the game. Which honestly, if when he has a bad game, man, you're the perfect coach or the perfect person to help him kind of get through it because you understand the game. Based on how you share everything, it's good. He has the best support I think he can have. That you're able to help him with that. So when it's all said and done, and I'm sure you probably don't want to think about that. He doesn't either. But when it's all said and done, what does your life after baseball look like for your family? What are some of the things that you're looking forward to that you may not share with him right now? He's gonna see this, but no. But what are some things you might be looking forward to after it's said and done that you would like to do?
I am honestly just ready for a slow life. I'm sure we'll get bored with it pretty quickly, but I'm ready to have him here. And number one thing right now, which it was nice when he was here during his DFA, just help bring the kids to school every day. And I do have to say one thing. I do have to brag on him because when he is here for off season, he is the best dad. He understands that like when he's gone, it's all on me. Like I'm the one waking up at 6 o'clock in the morning. I'm the one getting him ready, making lunches, getting him to school, picking him up from school, bringing him to all the t-ball games. So it's one thing. When he's here, he gets all the kids ready for school in the morning. He brings them to school in the morning. So he really takes over full force when he's here because he gets, it's hard when you're doing it by yourself. It's a lot, especially with multiple kids. And then on top of that, whether it's ice skating lessons, t-ball lessons, all the different sports that we want to make sure they do. We don't want to make sure they're only in baseball.
Hmm.
We want them to also create their own personalities, their own likes and needs. And it's a lot. So I'm just excited for the slowness and the uh, I guess just the post magicalness of it, which is just going to be calm. Obviously, I know if you ask him, he's going to want to play for another. He's so close, guys. He is so close to 10 years. So he's been up and down in the big leagues for 14 seasons. Now, when you're down in the minor leagues, they don't count those days towards your service time. And I think he's at like 9 years and so many odd days to hit his 10-year service. And when you hit 10 years, you get a really, really good pension. And it's a big accomplishment for a player to hit 10 years, and it doesn't happen a lot. So he is really focused on hitting that 10-year mark. And we're really hoping a team just gives him a chance to finish out. If he's in the big leagues all next season, he'll hit it, you know? And I think that's just his goal, and that's what he really wants to do. And then I wouldn't be surprised if he wants to switch that up and go into, pitching coach for a minor league team, for a big league team. But so we live in Cleveland, Tennessee. We actually have family that's opening up a DBAT. So it's a baseball facility, and
we have one here.
Yeah. See, well, Erasmo, there's one in Chattanooga right now that's actually another former MLB player. I can't remember his last name. His first name's Sal, but he runs one in Chattanooga, and Erasmo does lessons there in the off season. So now this season, our family is opening one here in Cleveland. So he's going to help, do lessons and facilitate that. And I know he's excited to get here and help all the kids because he truly is just the best with teaching kids. So I know
I could see his demeanor on the video. He was calm. He was like very intricate. Brian, I'll send you the video to you. It was perfect. It was like, wow. He had me intrigued. I was just watching the whole thing.
He loves teaching kids, and he loves helping. And it brings me back to, when he was with the Rays, he had a rough year, and he was in the minor league for a bit of that, and he taught all these kids like these new pitches and things like, hey, like calm down, like, or he would constantly tell them like, you guys don't have to go. It's Friday. You don't have to go out. Like, you have to pitch tomorrow. Why don't you stay home and relax and rest for your day? And then at the end of the day, those kids got called up before he did. And he came home so mad. I remember he's all like, I'm teaching these kids these life lessons and these pitches. I'm teaching them all my things, and now they're getting called before me. I'm done doing it. I'm done helping because I'm just hurting myself in the long run. I'm helping these kids get pushed forward while I'm being left back. And then this year, when he was on the Twins, he came home. He's like, I can't do it. I'm like, what are you talking about? He's all like, I've got to help the kids. He's like, I overheard them talking something about throwing a splitter instead of a cutter. Or he's like, I just can't let them sit there and ruin themselves. Or I can't, I'm going to teach them and help them. He's like, I know I said I wouldn't. He's like, but it's just not me. So it just kind of shows the kind of person he is, that like he truly does want to help the younger generation and wants to teach them what he's learned and give kids the chance. Because when he was a kid, he was told he was too small. Like, he's never going to make it. He's too short. He's just not ever going to be a big league player. And, and if he would have listened to that, he wouldn't be where he is today. And I think that's his biggest thing. He just wants to help kids realize that it's not all stigmas, and you don't have to be 6'5". You don't have to throw the hardest. You just got to keep trying and keep believing. So I definitely think he will do something with kids here shortly after his career is over with.
Well, that's great.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. And I think, hey, he had a great career. No matter when it ends, he's had a great career. I mean, he can look back at himself and, and actually did play for the Mets in 2020. I did see that, which is, he got the little bit of the blue and orange on. So that was pretty cool. But I'm kind of glad he didn't stay there because, they don't do well. They're doing better now with pitching, but I'm glad he kind of moved on from that. There's some organizations that just do it a little bit better. But like I said, if he ever had to look back, I mean, what he did in the majors is amazing. So I think that's one thing he can hang his hat on and say, that 10-year service, I hope he gets to that. We hope he gets to that. We'll be pushing for that to make sure that, he gets what you guys need. But at the end of the day, I mean, he has to just be proud of what he's accomplished. 'Cause not many guys can do that for so long. They fall apart so quickly. And I'll say this one thing: if he doesn't throw a 100-mile-an-hour fastball, it doesn't matter. I was saying this last night watching the Mets, that you don't have to throw as hard. If you throw a changeup and they think the fastball is coming, it just throws everybody off. Like Maddox, Hall of Famer, and it's not always the fastest you can throw. It's the longevity, stability, how long you're gonna be out there, and how you take care of yourself. And then when you can come and throw that one pitch 97 miles an hour, it will throw somebody off, or 94. Because they're it's just different. Baseball is different. So, tell him never. He's like I said, the longevity, stability, everything he's done is a testament to who he is and how he's taking care of himself and how he's brought himself to the game. And that me and Brian look up to that as well. Because I'm not a numbers guy. I'm a mental approach. I'm a old school. How do you feel today? What do you got to bring to the game? That's who I am, and he's part of that old school thinking. So. it's
Yeah.
cool to watch him.
Thank you. Thank you. That's going to mean a lot to him because he truly is the same. Like he's all about how he's feeling and not looking at numbers. Baseball's changed a lot the last 10 years. It seems it's
Oh
a
yeah.
numbers game now, and it can help, but it can also hurt, players like him who do think the old school way, but still getting the outs. But he is proud. It's not a lot of players reach, I think it average for a pitcher is 3-4 seasons. So for him to hit 14, it's a huge deal. And we're all so proud of him for it. And we're fingers crossed he can hit that 10-year mark.
That would be great. That would be great. Yeah, I think that it's impressive. Anybody that we just look at it when we interview people and we're like, anybody that makes it is impressive. But to not just to make it, but to be there for that length of
Yeah.
time. There's very few people in this world that have been able to do that. And very cool. But also your side too. Very cool. We loved hearing your story. I think it's for you going from a girl that was interested in the game and wanted to work in the game to being the wife and mother on the road, raising your family, doing all this. It's a really neat story to hear. We appreciate the fact that you come on and take your time to talk with us about it. We don't hear it every day.
Thanks for having me. This was a lot of fun. It's fun to share perspectives that not everybody sees or thinks about right in the middle of, the season when they hear DFAs or, trades. It's first, obviously, where they're going, but it's never behind the scenes. So it's kind of like why we started sharing our story online, is to show behind the scenes and what kind of people don't see and don't expect.
Yep. Very interesting.
Thank you.
Keep doing what you're doing. Keep doing
Thank
what
you.
you're doing, and good luck to you guys the rest of the season and going forward into hopefully what will be a successful next maybe few seasons in Major League Baseball. Hopefully you found a good anchor there, being up in Tennessee, and yeah, we'll stay in touch, and great best of luck on the future and the rest of the season.
Thank you so much. This was so much fun, you guys. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, RheaAnne. This was episode 97 with RheaAnne Ramirez, wife of Erasmo Ramirez and Instagram star.
Thank you, guys.
I say Instagram star because TikTok, I don't even look at TikTok, so I don't know TikTok. I know we have one. David said that's where we should be, but yes, thank you for joining us. It was a great talking with you.
Thanks for having me, guys. This was fun.
All right, just for anybody that doesn't know, we do have a merch page for all our stuff. Check us out. We've been around a lot longer than most sites, 10 years. So,
Yeah,
we can
and
get our stuff.
subscribe.
Subscribe. We get all these great shows. We're looking to add more shows. We're creeping up on that 100. We got another show coming up soon. That's another amazing guest. So just subscribe. Just keep following us, and we'll keep sharing these amazing stories.
Thank you. Thank you
All right.
both. All right.
Thanks, guys.